just because they were brute forcing their way to other teams. Billy Donovan has to figure out a great offense for that team and get them to buy into it. Because right now, they are all trying to be unselfish at times. But the offense breaks down into your turn, my turn. And you have a lot of guys standing around and no actions going on. And this only happens in parts of the game. And so they have a lot of lineups in OKC, a lot of potential lineups in OKC. And they have to figure out what works when. For, you know what I'm saying? Who works for what situations, for how long, what do we get into? Because quite frankly, if they just put the same team out that they put last year, exactly, and just brought Carmelo and Paul George off the bench, they win more games. Because the problem last year was when Russ sat down, their lead just died, and then he would come back in and have to bring it back up. But obviously, that's not going to work in the playoffs, right? That's not a good way to run a team. So OKC has to figure out how to put a great product on the floor, on the offensive side of the ball, and how to come together defensively in the fourth quarter, the way they have been in the first three quarters, that puts them at second in the league on defense. Whether their record was 10-1 or 1-10 or 4-6, that's what they have to solve. And if you're a fan of that team, that's what you're looking for them to solve. Everything else is premature because their record, as long as they're in the playoffs, is meaningless because the way they're playing basketball in late March and April and May is what this team needs to be concerned about. They have a long cushion. As long as they win enough games to stay in the playoffs, because they are in the Western Conference, they have a long cushion to figure it out. And that's my take on it.
Yeah, I think people are rushing, and I think it's a lot of the people that feel like, I think there's a big group of people that feel like Carmelo shouldn't be in the league anymore. From the standpoint of
nonsense.
I think it is. I think people, there's this whole new generation. They want to see people share the ball. They don't like guys, but then they'll let, to me, it's hypocrisy, right? Because when KP is scoring 30, he's using the moves Carmelo taught him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so I think it's a little bit of bias towards Carmelo, and people are putting all of that Kobe basketball, that isolation basketball, all of that on Carmelo's head. Everything is always his fault. Sure, he's not a great defender, right? But he can give a great effort on the defensive side of the ball. I think you're right, Books, that the key is what is their coach, what is he going to do with their offense? I think they have to funnel their offensive focus through Westbrook. With those three on the floor, Westbrook has to be the alpha because he has the natural predatory mismatch. And if they run more stuff, more motion before they get him the ball, then teams are going to have to double do whatever they're going to do, and those other guys are going to get open shots. Right now, I think they're trying too much to spread the offense around, and it turns into what you said: your turn, my turn. And I think what they have to do is that each one of those guys has to have a time in the game when they are. The alpha. But
oh shit.
For the other two guys, it needs to be when Russell is not on the floor. And they have to figure that out. And those are different flows between, okay, now it's kind of my turn to lead, or it's kind of your turn to lead. And it's going to take them some time to figure that out. They either have to do that, or he's got to implement some type of offense like the Spurs swing or something, or he's got to implement something to get some consistent ball movement. I don't think he'll be
a small part of it is I think their offense has semblances of that at times, and some of these are shots that Carmelo and Paul George are not used to getting, and they're just not hitting. And that's why I say it's fool's gold, because if guys are missing open shots, you're pretty sure they're going to start making those shots once they adapt to getting those shots and those rhythms. So I'm not concerned about those. That's why I say if they made those shots and they won these games, people wouldn't be having this conversation. I think that's such an oversimplification. What you're saying is absolutely right. My main concern really is just off-ball action spaces the floor more than on-ball action. Right? When you have a guy on the strong side like Russell Westbrook, the most threatening thing you can do is have action on the weak side, in my opinion. I'm no NBA coach, but that just seems to be the thing that's making a lot of teams work, is Carmelo becoming a threat because of what's happening on the other side of the ball while you are trying to guard Russell Westbrook, making the play easier for both of them. And right now, sometimes there's a lot of standing around off the ball. And if they don't solve that, they're not going to do a lot of great things in the playoffs. If they do solve that, they probably will. And so that's what I'm really looking at for those guys.
And it kind of goes back to the 2010-2011 Miami Heat. They started out 11-10 that year. It took those guys time to adjust. You know, granted, you got Pat Riley in the front office. He can go down and do his thing, but this team is kind of the way these three guys, it kind of reminds me of that team. They started out 11-10. LeBron, it looks, he pushed slow. What's wrong with the Miami Heat? They figured it out. They got to the finals. And if JJ Barea doesn't outplay LeBron in the finals, they probably win that. They should have.
Yeah, and let's not get it pushy. They're not playing against JV teams whilst trying to figure this thing out.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these are some really good NBA, even the young teams. You know how the NBA works, man, is you come out, you're playing a team that ain't won in 4 nights. You know what I'm saying? They lost 4 nights. But they're hot tonight. That's how the NBA works. You know, this dude that the scouting report said he can't hit a bull in the ass with a bass fiddle. He can't miss on you. And you're like, what's up? This guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it happens, because every night somebody else has a different reason to be motivated to come out to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, you talked about his sister or something, and now he's coming out for you on the team when they should actually be laying down. You know, it's just, you never know who's going to step up. You never know who's going to. So it makes winning very difficult. You know, so having said that, I think your point was also right, Books, that it's on the coach to create that off-ball motion for them. Carmelo's not going to do that on his own. You know what I'm saying? And they've got to develop that. And over the course of the season, through all the practices they have, if they buy in, they can get it done. I don't know, is that going to be the coach's message, though? Or does he just think he has enough offensive firepower to get it done? You know, it's always a tricky thing. I'll be interested to see what they do and how they do it finishing this season. Books, before we started the show, I think even after last week's show, you had a great topic that I wanted to see if you can bring up for us here tonight, talking about NBA, college players, something along those lines.
Okay, so a week or two ago, we were very hard on young American players coming out of college one and done because of the AAU system, how they're not developed, how the European invasion was threatening them and stuff like that, right? And we all agreed on that. But one thing we didn't talk about was 2 things that the NBA does a little wrong here to be complicit in this, and the NCAA. Okay, so the NCAA is basically a slavery system, right? Because you got guys making millions of dollars and you're not paying them. And in fact, you punish them for making a dime, literally a dime. If somebody sold a jersey for a dime, they would get fined and maybe kicked out of school. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Right?
It is. I completely agree.
But here's the thing. In addition to that, it's supposed to be college. Kyle Kuzma finished.
It's on Facebook.
Early,
look it up.
And
so it's on Facebook. Look it up.
All of his time just developing his game. why he's so much better than Lonzo Ball. He didn't have to pretend to go to school the way everybody else does, right?
Yeah. He tries to be smart. Alright, now did he go like just the time?
Yeah.
No, I mean on Devin's rock.
Did he? Good job, youngin.
Who's the youngest?
Who's the youngest in the
Me. I don't know.
What?
Mariah told me your mom said she wasn't going to be 50.
She what?
She wasn't going to be 50?
Yeah.
Your mom is going to be 50.
She said no. I ain't
Your
know.
mom doesn't know. Your mom was born in 1968. She'll be 50.
Because even if you're full of it,
Mariah said she didn't cancel the rooms yet. That's why. What?
just the dance of going to these classes or not, or figuring out ways around it and tests and all of that stuff, it's a lot to put on a teenager while they're trying to become an NBA talent.
Yes.
And at the same time, when we're scouting players, if a guy has been in school more than 2 years, we tend to say, well, why wasn't he a superstar when he was 19 years old? So between them having to actually go to class and you not giving them 3-4 years to say, hey, if you stay in school and you come out in your 4th year, you can make as much money as you could when you were 19, because the way guys look at it now, that's 3 years like you're playing in the NBA.
Right.
By the time I graduate college, I could be on my 2nd NBA contract. So the finances work against them as well. So as much blame as we put on the AAU system, right now, the NCAA to NBA path, is that a workable system right now? Because it looks like a really bad system compared to Europe or guys coming straight into the league and just sitting on the bench, developing, watching NBA coaches, and just saying, yeah, I'm raw coming out of my 1 year in school, but I'm here to learn basketball, not in college.
Yeah, Brooks, I think the system as it stands today, especially with the what do they call it? Where people are getting paid now, the investigations that the FBI is going into with the college coaches,
Shoe companies and stuff.
Yeah, with the shoe companies, and this stuff is, I don't think the current system is going to last. I think they're going to have to do something with it, especially for the reasons that you say. Why is it that if I play baseball, I can be drafted directly onto a professional team and go into their minor leagues and get better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I can get paid. There's no reason, and it's not making any sense, and it's not necessarily making better basketball players. The facade of going to class, as you say, Book, that takes up a lot of time. That's a lot of energy that these players are having to put into these classes, that they, whether they're thinking about graduating or not, because the schools get penalized if they don't, if the team doesn't have a certain GPA or what have you. So, I think your point of bringing up Kyle Kuzma is an excellent point, especially when we look at him as compared to the other Laker guy, who's the second-year guy that we don't.
Oh, Brandon Ingram.
You look at Brandon Ingram, and I know other people look like Brandon, just do what Kyle's doing, right? But Kyle had that whole year of just focusing on his game, and the polish is evident. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not an accident.
Very polished.
He's very polished. And I think people look at that, or you look at even guys who went overseas first and learn that, oh, this is a real job. Oh, we practice 2 times a day. They have a different mentality, and I think it's going to serve the league better. Like, I think the league is going to divorce themselves of trying to help out the NCAA, because that's what they did. They were like, your business is suffering, right? So we're going to force the kids to go there for a year. But now the kids are like, yo, I just won't go, or I'll go overseas, or I'll just train because they got places like IMG Academy now. And with the internet, you can be seen anywhere. So I think guys are finding ways around this current system, and they don't want to voluntarily involve themselves in that slave system called the NCAA. Everybody's getting paid. And I got to tell you, I tell you guys all the time, I sucked in college, basically. I really wasn't that good, but I got paid. So I can tell you for damn sure that these guys are getting paid.
Right.
You hear what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it goes all the way back, man. I gotta have my pop come on one time and have him tell you about all the shady deals that's going on with governors and all this other type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been shady for a very, very long time. This is
And the thing is, it shouldn't be shady. Because these guys should have enough clothes to wear, food to eat, access to equipment. And if they have their own business separate from what they're doing on the court, obviously they shouldn't be selling school equipment or paraphernalia and stuff like that. But you're talking about, they having controversies about people who had an online store before they got into school. And they're like, we don't know if we're going to let you keep that. That's crazy. That's so un-American. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's bananas. And it's bad for basketball. Because I don't want some kid starving and going to classes and not really caring about his education, or really caring and being the worst basketball player as a result. None of it works. None of it works.
I think a lot of people think that starving athlete thing is a joke, and it's really not. If you go to school and you go on a scholarship, and they may have changed the rules. When I was in school, it was against NCAA rules for me to work during the school year. So whatever money I made during the summer had to last me all freaking year long. And if you come from a situation where your parents can't necessarily afford to be sending you, it was no problem for my classmates. You know what I'm saying? But I'm here on scholarship for a reason, right? So you get your 3 meals a day, right? But you're practicing sometimes 2 times a day. You're doing your own training after that. So when the meal place closes at 5 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, 8:30, you done burnt all them calories. You hungry as hell. And you can't eat again till the next morning at 7, 8 o'clock. And
that's crazy.
Practice before that.
Because we know so much more about the way bodies are built and nutrition and stuff like that. And they're making so much money for these athletic programs. How are you not feeding these athletes whatever they need? The more you work out, the more you need to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how it is, man. You know, and these guys should have, they shouldn't just have food, they should have access to the best food. Right. You know, you got guys coming in the league, they talk about they've been eating macaroni and cheese. You wondering why they're not in the shape you want them. Like, you criticize the guy. Yeah, he's not in NBA shape. He had Lucky Charms 4 times. Like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
hey, that Chick-fil-A is what's wrong. But no, Boots, to your point, man, you know, I was watching the Chick-fil-A, because that's Folks' favorite. They had a booth there. Folks is over there eating Chick-fil-A, and he's telling one of his teammates, I think it's one of the little guards, he was like, hey, they got Chick-fil-A over there, and the kid said, I can't afford it. And Folks was like, yo, you know, we millionaires, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, no, I can't afford to put that in my body.
Right.
That just let you know there was 2 separate mindsets. Right. Folks is like, free nuggets.
Right. And the other guy like, that's not you.
Yeah.
Folks wanted that. I don't want 9, give me 12.
Greedy called me the Othello Harrington of the Sim Nation. Greedy Rob, what's going on, baby? Oh man, hey, Matt, did you get in on that topic?
Y'all were just going. Hey, that was really good stuff, man. But they need to just pay these kids in college. I think the product would be better. Now kids can stay a couple years because they're getting paid. They don't feel like, well, I got to go to the NBA now because I can make money. Or I think we should do like what they do in baseball. If you go to college, I think you have to stay 3 years, then you can be drafted. Or you go to the minor, you get drafted, but in order for that to work out, you have to have every NBA team has to have a G League team. And I still think, but I still think you pay.
G League team. Go ahead,
And
man.
I still think if you choose to go to college, you still pay those kids. Obviously, they're not going to make NBA salaries, but you still pay those kids.
Yeah, I'm against forcing anybody to stay for any length of time. You don't force coaches to stay. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
coaches
true.
get to transfer basically for free. You know what I'm saying?
Not
If I go to a
Calipari.
school and the coach leaves, I have to ask NCAA for permission for me to be able to leave. And what you said when you talked about it being a slave system, and I don't think a lot of people know this. College scholarships are not 4-year deals. They're a series of 1-year deals. So at the end of the year, no matter what they do, you find somebody better, you're out. I've seen those conversations go down. Where, you know, they brought in a dude, and whenever they bring you in, you're always the greatest thing since sliced bread. Until they find somebody better at your position. Then it's like, well, you know, what are you going to do next year? You look, what the fuck you mean, what am I going to do next year?
It is a 1-year contract for it's a 1 year with a team option for that second year.
Right. While
That's
they
it.
encouraging you not to pay attention in class.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? When we
It's
were
a
talking about
very
these,
predatory system, and
yes.
yeah, and I think the NBA, like logically, they would just go into a developmental model because it would improve their product and it would make them more money. But I suspect that there's a level of corruption that we're all unaware of between the NBA and the NCAA and NBA owners and the NCAA athletic programs that they wouldn't have this handshake deal because on the surface, the NCAA doesn't make the NBA any money directly. But when the same sneaker companies work for both leagues, let me stop talking for this shit.
Your next statement gonna be, get your hands out my pocket.
Hey, we've seen it with this FBI investigation.
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, man, it depends on how deep the FBI wants to go. Y'all gonna see some revelations that'll blow you, split your wings. But it depends on how deep they want to go with it.
Shoot, a teammate of mine in high school, he was a McDonald's All-American. I won't name names. He left my school after his junior year, moved to Kentucky, signed with Louisville. His mom got a house, a job, all kinds of stuff. I didn't even find out what he got. But you know he got something out of it. It wasn't just his house or his mom or a job.
Man, I'm telling you, like, I don't think people have an idea of how serious this thing is and how much money is moving back and forth. I'll let my dad tell his own story when he comes on here, but his high school coach got a hotel.
A hotel.
A business.
Sign some people play college for us. Make him go, yeah, that hotel, yeah, that's yours now.
Man, and this was a long time ago. So what are they doing now? If people want to get
They're gonna get their own record company.
And you know what?
Drive me nuts.
After this investigation, people are going to straighten up their act in the sense that they'll change the way that they move the money. But the money's got to go. Money has to change, man. Especially because it's not going to sit still. You know what I mean? And I think one of the arguments people have against paying is, oh, the bigger schools are going to get the better players. They already did. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wants to go to North Carolina because he wants to wear Jordan.
Yeah, ain't nobody going to Manhattan.
Ain't nobody going to Manhattan. You know? But there's enough players out there that once that top crop gets picked, everybody knows who they are, everybody knows where they probably want to go, then, you know, everybody else can have their opportunity. I mean, you could probably throw a dime out a window and hit a college basketball player. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of college basketball players, and you know, I don't think the system will break because the top players all want to go to a particular school because they're already doing it.
Because they bet on everybody. Right? Because they're all holding up this gambling system. That's what it's all about, right? So without the gambling, you wouldn't have the views. Without the views, you wouldn't have all of this money. And without the views, you wouldn't have all of these sponsorships. Who's more the money? Right? So who allows, like, it's not the top recruits that allow all of this to go. It's everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you have 1 million people watching this, 1 million people ain't watching the 1 or 2 guys who are going to leave next year. They're watching everything. They're watching everybody. You know, it's not just March Madness that people watch. They watch the whole thing. It's the whole system. And so the whole system should be paying out to these guys, compensating them in some way. Or forget all this school nonsense. If you want to be a professional basketball player, there should be a place you should go to learn that.
Yes, yes. And I think places,
ridiculous.
As I said, books like IMG Academy, you know, these different places where some players are going there instead of going to other schools and saying they're going to work out for 2 years, maybe they'll go overseas first. But people are already finding ways around this corruption.
Yeah. Like you said, the internet's going to break it down, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They definitely going to get to the bottom of that. All right, so we've talked about, just almost everything. Who do you guys really like in this season's rookie class? Matt, this was something you brought up that I thought was a good topic.
You mean besides Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I'm not going to put Ben.
Yeah, he's out.
That's
obvious.
Sophomore Ben Simmons.
I definitely like Kuzma, as Nelson said, second round or late first round pick. Has looked really, really good. Jason Tatum has been fantastic. So far, of all the guys, I think I'd probably for this class, I'd probably have Tatum as the best one, just because he's on a winning team. But I really like Markkanen from the Bulls. He has been so much better than I thought he was going to be. I mean, he puts it on the floor. He shoots the three. I mean, he's out there tonight. He's blocking shots. He's rebounding. I really like Markkanen.
He knows how to play the game of basketball. And for mine, I'm going to jump in here because I think this is going to be books as well. But I can't say the young man's name, but Frank Ntilikina.
That's it. The T's solid.
Books, you told me to watch him and watch his impact on the team, especially on the defensive side. I don't see anything wrong with his mechanics as he shoots at basketball. He might turn out to be a really good basketball player. I enjoy watching him play. Also Markkanen from the Bulls. When I watch Markkanen play, I realized that we were really right here when we were talking about the European invasion over all these years. There's a first-year player out there
Go get the book,
with no
I'll bring it to
fear. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows he can play. It's just the game's moving a little faster. As he
Hitch, man.
This is not a fluke what you're seeing from him. No, he's leaving, you know what I'm saying? He's just moving. So those are the two that come to my mind, Tatum. And I also wonder what's going on with the league where all of these young guys are having all of this success this early. What the hell is going on? And of course, I love watching him play because he simplifies the game. He's not doing nothing, otherworldly. You catch the ball at the three, give you a pump fake, you go for it, he go by you. And I'm like, Ingram, do what he's doing.
And what's crazy is he moves so smooth, unless he's standing next to somebody, you can't tell he's 6'9". In a gym, he looks 6'5". You know what I'm saying? Like, he moves like a 2 out there. His footwork is crazy on the inside. I mean, his ability to pivot, plus the three-pointer is just totally wet. And a name that you guys haven't mentioned, I also really, really like the upside of De'Aaron Fox. I really, really like the way that kid, he looks like a great teammate, smart kid, good kid, outrageous speed. You know what I mean? His ability, his potential.
No, Mom is using the phone right now.
Which is not surprising.
Stop it.
But if they bring him along well, that guy's right
he
now.
The game winner last night.
Right now, going forward. I would rather have him and Frank at point guard above Lonzo, Fultz, and Dennis Smith Jr. Me personally, right now, going forward.
I like Dennis Smith Jr. I do
I like Dennis Smith. That's the only thing I have wrong with your argument. But I can't say I'm not saying that to say that you're wrong, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that I have a personal connection to him. I like his explosiveness, but you're right. In essence, you know what I'm saying. And the guys that you pointed out will probably have a more I don't want to say a better career, but I think their arc for their career is more easily defined with the skills that you see them displaying right now.
Historically, a Dennis Smith Jr. type.
Oh, we don't want to hear you wax on.
Well, no, it's just he's a scary kind of player. In the same way that Porzingis is a scary kind of player. Because at that height, you're just always worried about the lower extremities getting beat up in some way. So far, we've been pretty lucky on that. And I think with Dennis Smith, not only do you have to be lucky in terms of his type, because he's a little small to be playing the way he plays.
Do not touch!
But he also has already had So that's the thing that scares me. And Frank Ntilikina is the opposite.
If he goes
he's a guy who plays a mostly grounded game. He is athletic in his but his physique is fantastic. The guy can tie his shoes while standing straight up. Like his arms are so long.
Am I wrong for saying Ntilikina? Does Ntilikina kind of remind you of like a longer, taller version, kind of like George Hill?
People have talked about George Hill. To me, he reminds me a little of Scottie Pippen at the point guard position. Like, what if Scottie was a point guard? That kind of is how I look at Frank, because Frank his whole side of the floor was the side of the floor where the offense didn't work properly. You know what I'm saying? And he just seemed to be kind of all over the place. Frank would be guarding his man, glance at a cut that's about to happen, stick his arm out, and you'll see a guy almost turn the ball over like, I can't pass it over there. Like I said,
fantastic.
Frank is a great passer because he's absorbed all of his experience overseas, and he looks like a professional passer of the ball. I don't know.
Overseas invasion.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll turn him into a great passer in terms of 10 assist guy or not. Where he is right now is fine. He might be a role player on offense, but he might be a superstar on defense because I think he's the best defensive rookie in the draft. And like I said, day one of the draft, you have to draft defense at some point. And as far as drafting defense goes, it doesn't get much better than Frank. So, that's why I'm really excited about it. They're all still very young, so it could flip. Lonzo could catch on, he could gain 25 pounds of muscle, and we'd be all talking about remember when. They're all still young. But right now, today, I love those guys. Markkanen, Tatum, Kuzma, Ntilikina, and De'Aaron Fox. That's who I really like.
There's a couple, three more guys that I really like. I like Jonathan Isaac in Orlando. I think he's really young. I think he can be a really good player. Donovan Mitchell in Utah. I love him. And then there was yes, I really like Donovan. There was one more, but I can't. Oh, and Malik Monk, I think, is going to be a really good scorer. He showed against the Knicks the other night. He was really good.
Yeah, I think it depends on how the coach decides to use Malik. If they use him in the right way, he could be an explosive scorer for them. They're even talking about. I heard some people with that some of the writers that work for that team or for that city talked about them maybe having to move Kemba because they think that he could play the one.
No.
Kemba's playing so well right now.
I see why they're scared.
Kimba's undersized, so they're saying like if this kid can give us the same scoring point and more size, it may make sense to move Kemba for different people.
We don't want them as your starting backcourt with that undersized.
Yeah. So that was a long range thing. I'm not saying they said they were going to do that tomorrow, but they were just looking down the line, and I could see with the way this kid can handle the ball if he plays a little point. I could see that happen. Man, is there anybody else out there as far as the rookies that you guys wanted to talk about tonight? I think we covered the guys that I enjoy watching, at least thus far. Hey, you know what though, Brooks? De'Aaron Fox has fall down speed. You know what I'm saying? Like he moves so fast that you have to be so ready. You know what I'm saying? That I think a lot of that he causes fear in a lot of defenders, especially if he's coming down court full speed. Because why does he look so much faster than other people? You know what I'm saying?
And he's got long strides too. So it's one thing when you like Iverson. He just a jitterbug out there, always changing direction. He'll just change pace and blow by you. You're like, here he comes, he slowed down. No, he didn't. I'm wrong, he's gone.
I should have shot the first one.
So I'm really, and the thing is, up here, man, like he's such a smart kid. He looks like he's got a great head on his shoulders. He looks like a really good teammate. That matters in a point guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then none of that is a knock on Dennis Jr. Dennis long run. I hope he's great because I think he's another one. He's a great kid and he's exciting to watch. But long term, 10-year, 13, 15-year career, I would definitely bet on De'Aaron and Frank right now.
Let me pop into the chat real quick. Ray Smith is saying Lonzo's going to struggle until he can get his shot off. Lonzo's not shooting the ball very well early. Jason Kidd didn't shoot the ball very well early. In fact, Lonzo's out shooting him, I think, through their first 10 games from the 3-point line. So I think Lonzo's going to be fine.
Yeah, bad guys steal
I don't know
cookies.
about changing the guy's shot this late.
You are a
I
bad
made fun of the
guy.
Matrix
You
a lot
steal
during his whole career.
I'm right there. They just let him run
I don't know
around.
about changing the shot. Magic Johnson talked about I don't know that he's going to change the shot. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people talk about, well, he's got to create a shot. He really doesn't have to. What he has to do is hit the open ones, right? And if he can do that, he'll do enough. Right now, for Lonzo to and not move to the next level, but to move his team forward, he's got to be able to score a little bit better. Whether that's with runners, whether it's getting all the way to the top. Because now people have caught on the NBA to do this. They'll adjust to you. They know he only drives to pass. So they're staying home more, and those guys aren't getting those same shots that they were earlier in the season. So he's just got to find a way to score from that mid-range area, whether it's the run, the push shot we talked about, or getting all the way to the basket, utilizing that pick and roll. So he's got to make himself more of a threat, and then that's going to open up his passing more. And yeah, it'd be great if he could create a shot off the dribble going both ways. I don't think it's necessary right now. He just needs to be able to hit those shots when they're going way under those pick and roll.
And he hit deep threes in college, so I know he's capable of doing it. But you know what? In college, obviously it's college NBA, he was more in attack mode on offense, even with all those assists.
I think one of the problems, because these guys are all human beings, I think one of the problems with Lonzo Ball is he's the worst young player on the team. And he's getting preference. I mean, he is. All right, he's the worst.
Your ability to tell the truth is fantastic. I mean, that's something that you understand, but nobody says that.
Nobody says it. He's the worst young player on the team.
All right,
But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
because of what he's supposed to be, he's getting preferential treatment. And it's costing the team to some degree. Right?
Right.
And I think it's harder. And the team isn't so good that he can benefit from those other guys who are better than him. They're just role players, right? For the most part. Nobody is a superstar. Nobody's really creating their own shot like that. It's a lot of catch and shoot, slash and finish, and that's it. So nobody's making the game easier on him. He's expected to make the game easier on them while in this situation, while being young, and while he hasn't really been in the greatest of shape. He's had a lot of lower extremity, little nagging injuries this whole time, and he's still a skinny 19-year-old kid.
And he's got a bullseye on his head.
I'm of the belief that he will probably fill out a lot over the next 2 years, just because if you look at the genetics of his family, he looks like he's gonna swell up. You know what I mean? And that will solve half of his problems right off the bat. So the one thing that's a serious problem is he can't pull up going right.
Right.
He gonna do the Macarena. He gonna start. He gonna do the box before he pull up and shoot going to the ring. You can't be doing the box before you shoot in the NBA. That's not gonna work.
You know what it is though? It's that funky release. How can you pull up to the right when you're swinging it like that?
Getting back to the left, go back. That's not gonna work. That's something that he has to solve. Everything else, I'm not too worried about. Like you said, it's all I'm not too worried about. So, yeah, him, I'm not too worried about it from that standpoint. But I think with Kuzma being better than him and Brandon Ingram, not great, but coming along, it's a tough situation for him to be in right now. That's pretty much it as far as possible. Oh, and I wanted to address something Rasheed was talking about. He's saying Frank Ntilikina and Ricky Rubio.
I want to read the book.
My rule for all this stuff, they're all young. Young point guards, give them time to develop. You just
Throw
never
it
know
out.
what anybody can do
It's old and
until
stinky.
maybe years. There's a few guys who develop so fast that you know what they're going to be.
Old
You know what?
and
There's a
stinky.
lot of guys that turn it into what they turn it into later on down the line. The other thing is, hold on. The other thing is, if Frank is Ricky Rubio and he means today Ricky Rubio, right? Better shot, underrated defense, good passing, right? And Frank's passing, I think, is really up there as far as his draft goes. Something people don't talk about. He's got a really high IQ for passing. What I like about that is when you have a defensive point guard who can pass the ball and make the open shot. In terms of team building, you don't pay that guy like a superstar because the people don't pay for defense. So that means you have a guy who neutralizes the best player on the other team most nights at the point guard position, making his life difficult. He still does what he's supposed to do for your offense, and he doesn't hog up your whole salary cap. So when you're talking about building a team, that allows you to put another superstar
Go to the corner
and really flesh out your roster. So I think a great role player sometimes is best case scenario unless your superstar is a Ben Simmons level guy.
Right.
Because when you overpay for guys like, I'm not going to name names, but when guys get $150 million, $170 million contracts, but they aren't good enough to be the best player on a championship team, I don't think that's a great expenditure of money. But when you're paying a guy who's a role player and does every job he's supposed to do and makes the game easier for everybody else, that's a great expenditure. So almost more exciting about Frank is that he will be, a bigger version of Mike Conley without quite as big of a contract. Scores less points, passes the ball well, shoots the ball well when he's open, and defends like a madman at 6'5", crazy 7-foot wingspan, giant mitts. That's exciting to me because we pay that guy a reasonable price, keep him forever, and give somebody else a ton of money to score the ball with Porzingis.
Be careful because if he has a really smooth offensive game already. I think that's part of why it looks like he might not be his game is really smooth. He may end up being a really good offensive player. Then you're looking at a max contract guy, especially the way the NBA goes now.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can be worried about. If he absolutely developed like as a second guy, as an offensive player, you're looking at another max deal in New York, which isn't a bad thing because I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, so you're almost hoping he doesn't develop too much.
Because hey, if you don't average 20 points a game, you don't get put into that crazy category. Unless you got there before.
I was just going to say,
then you started averaging 20 points a game. But, that's how they judge point guards. And it's a weird thing because Rashidi actually said it in the chat. Lonzo Ball is being pushed as a superstar, but he's basically expected to be Frank Ntilikina without the defense. I'd rather the situation we're in. And like I said, this might be the second draft where the Knicks got the Lakers twice.
Right. And Lonzo Ball is the thing. If you're a pass-first point guard and you have no alpha scorer and everybody's young, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a bad situation for him to be in and for everybody to look like, yo, save us. But I think the thing that he's given them is some hope. You know what I mean? And he's going to struggle. He's playing against the best athletes in the planet at his position almost nightly, even the young ones.
Yep.
These are the best. It's like
De'Aaron Fox.
Yes.
He was a bit before that Lakers game.
Yes.
And these guys are coming for Ryan. They're coming for
He goes to that Lakers game like.
Hey, Book's making a good point because these dudes are all coming for Lonzo's neck.
Yet not only that, if you just face
come on
4 point guards in the West, and you got the Lakers on your schedule, you like, it's my turn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Besides going for Lonzo's neck, it's like people been coming for my neck all week.
Right. Which is why I think the problem with Lonzo is really
pointers, man.
Can he become a really good?
Why?
Because he needs to. Because Jason Kidd was good. I don't want to see Jason Kidd without the defense. That ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jason Kidd was
You better calm it down.
a guy who's very aggressive. So he needs. I expect that he will push the pace as he gets more comfortable with the team. I expect that he will
Come
make
up.
shots to get that, because he makes shots. Like, you watch him shoot the ball. You've seen him shooting in college. He's not a guy who's a bad shooter, and it's disgusting. But the real beef is, I see him give energy on the defensive end, and I see him also, get passed through like wet toilet paper. So he needs to be a solid defensive player in order to have the value that he will likely get paid for if he's not a bust.
Yeah. Hey, I think we're going to call time on this for this week. It's been a fantastic show. Excellent NBA discussion. When we come to Sim Hangout, man, we talk about basketball, video games, and life. We talk about some movies. Today we talked about the Superman thing. I got educated. I'm for real. I'm going in on the kids tomorrow. Y'all don't know about Superman. Let me tell you what Uncle Book said.
2, 3, 4,
That was for
5,
real. That was a great breakdown, man. I enjoyed it.
Where's
Thanks for jumping out tonight. Hey, next week, I wanted to talk about this one, but we're really on the NBA thing, and I didn't think this. But next week, we want to get into, if you guys have been paying attention, this NBA 2K League is really starting to pick up speed. The teams are hiring out their front offices for their league teams, for their 2K League. People are getting jobs, they're hiring people, and people are taking pictures, they're having meetings. These guys are doing conferences, and you're starting to see that this thing it's a real thing that's happening. With real NBA franchises, they're putting real dollars behind this thing. I saw the GMs, the digital GMs, and they were talking about the strategies they're using to bring in money and which advertisements they're talking about. And so I think people in the community are starting to really see that this thing it's got some steam behind it. It's starting to build up. And the thing that I want to talk about, we're going to do this next week. All right, we're going to talk about this next, but professionalism and esports. Talking about the 2K community, and when I pitched this to books, I said, are we going to have situations where people be able to talk? Because you have to have a certain level of professionalism to be associated with the NBA because of their advertising and products and all that stuff that they have going with it. But we know that we have a problem in the 2K community with some of the language that's used on videos, with some of the I can't even go into all the stuff that you might see or hear in the street. And I'm already seeing some guys on Twitter talking about, no man, I'm super weird. I don't care who's watching. And I'm like, oh man, and the foolishness is already begun. So I want us to get into that next week and talk about what level of professionalism will these guys need? You know what I'm saying? Will we see these instances of guys being really foolish with this opportunity, trying to keep it real for their buddies who didn't even have a shot to get into the league? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to talk about these dynamics that we're going to see play out in this community as we move forward with the 2K League, NBA 2K League. And I really want to get into that, folks. I think you're going to have some interesting stuff to talk about with that. And then we'll be back, of course, with NBA conversations, and we'll see what's going on. Last week, Big Mama asked for people to let her know if there's somebody in the community who's been showing up who wants to come on and rock with us. That invitation is still open. Get with Big Mama on Twitter or here in the chat. Notify her there. Interested, et cetera, et cetera. So, Matt, what's going on with you? Where can the people find you? Any shout-outs for you this week?
You can find me at MattUQR Podcast on Twitter. Just a shout-out to my man Pete. I saw him in the chat. My man Byron Gonzo. I saw Orlando in the chat. Just a shout-out to the rest of Sim Nation, everybody.
All right, that's what's up. Thanks for coming and rocking with us tonight. Matt's my sixth man of the year. Books, before I get to you, man, I want to give a shout out to my man MF Doombot. I saw him in the chat. I don't know if you see it. If you guys are in Sim Nation and you're like, man, I want to play pro-am, MF Doombot is the guy to get with. I run with them whenever I can get on. Now, they've been fronting on Czar here lately. They ain't letting me rock. They ain't letting me get in. You know what I mean? Folks is acting like, oh, we was going to play until you showed up. But anyway, I rock with Rated Sim, man. They got a whole Discord where they stay organized, and they got Rated Sim Midwest, Rated Sim West, and I don't know what if they have anything that you have to do to join. I think they do have tryouts for some of their teams or whatever, but that's where Sim Nation is at as far as you know. So if you got a player and you're tired of playing with randoms and it's like, yo, where y'all at? MF Doombot has the hookup for you. He's got all the information. So give it to at Rated Sim is the Twitter handle. So get with him on Twitter at Rated Sim or coming to the chat. Well, he don't always show up to these. Because Doom is kind of like Bulls. He kind of think he a superstar. You know what I'm saying? He be shooting all the shots when we running on pro-ams and everything. You know what I mean? So shouts out to my man.
Hold on, I gotta defend Doom. Playing to go on and he's long. God is hoping because he don't run with the team. Because he's all playing streets, playing the UB game. Oh,
Let me see your
playing good.
Now, like I was saying, Doom shoots all the shots. He ain't never passing his sharpshooter with an open corner because he want to go one-on-one and get his money.
Shout out to Doom. Doom is a regular. I'm on Rated Sim. I play with the fellas. Doom is on our regular rotation, and we have him, Psycho, Henson, Fidel, Ricky Bobby. We have excellent chemistry on that team. Czar, anytime you want to roll, let the people know. We will find a place for you. We can always use more shit.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. I'll be out there.
It's just missing. There were 7. Now there are 1, 2, 3,
at Nelson
4, 5, 6.
Shout out to Brian Zeke. His dad passed away recently. And
what is that? Let me see your scary face, Isaiah. Oh, that is a scary face. Bill, dog made a scary pumpkin. Ooh, that's a scary monster face you made. Now it's time to make friendly pumpkin. Now makes a friendly pumpkin. Who else makes a friendly pumpkin?
So,
Dog too?
Follow him. Always, he's Sim Nation faithful.
Happy Pumpkin Day, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. As always, shout out to
Scary pumpkin.
And we were having crazy girl today. Like I said, all day we need people
crazy game though?
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
in fact, we went double point guard. I was the shooter, she was the finisher, and yeah, we didn't lose today. We made everybody quit. Just run and walk on.
What a happy
Nation be in these streets, man.
Hello
hey,
there,
thanks for bringing that up, folks. I wasn't sure. I was hoping that Mazik would still make it so that he can talk about his dad a little bit tonight. His dad passing. That's a heavy thing, man, especially when your father's involved in your life. But I talked to Mazik and I talked to my dad, and we're going to do a Czar After Dark, talking about fatherhood.
Yeah, that's great.
For that.
Absolutely.
Looking to get a young father out of Sim Nation, somebody younger than us, who either you had your dad with you growing up or you didn't, and we want to talk about how that affects you as a father and moving forward. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We don't have a date yet, right? So I'm talking to all the pieces and we're getting that together. But Czar After Dark will return. We're going to talk about fatherhood, and we're going to give Mazik opportunity to honor his dad. He was a great man from what I understand. And so shout out to Mazik. I hope your father rests in peace and in power. And we will be back next week, people. So we'll be back next week. Hit us up with topics that you want us to talk about, or questions. If you got questions, you want the Sim Nation to go at it, send that stuff in. And again, Czar After Dark will make a return. I see you saying my I saw you last week. Talking about Czar After Dark.
Man.
Shout out to everybody in the chat room, man. I appreciate you coming through. You know how we do, my man. So-lorific. Oh, man, I didn't give a shout out to,
yes, you did.
did I cover in the... I didn't give my YouTube people a shout out this week. Shout out to my man, Big Mark Guy, and Black Confucius. I see you, family. Your boy D. Johnson, and Animals 07. I want to give a shout out to those people there. Thanks for joining us. You're only going to get this type of analysis here at the Sim Hangout, people. Man, I just turned the camera director off. I know y'all want to see this. It's all about that beard life. No. Folks, you gonna join us for No Shade November, baby?
Oh man,
let's go, man.
I just said you should let me go, man. I'm out here like Grizzly Adams. Oh, I can't. I quit the pro-am early just to shit. Yeah.
Oh, so shouts out to Jay Bradby, Fella 730, Orlando Till, Pete Toll, Solarific, Mr. Raw Deal, Convey Duco, G. Smith, As I said, MF Crazy Girl 84. Make sure you check out Crazy Girl's channel and support the sister, man, as she's out in these streets. She's going to be running with us in the program. She was already running with him. Doombot, Michael Mitrieski, and of course, Real 2K Insider, my dude, Greedy Rod. It's great to see you back in these streets, Greedy. Until next time, it's your man.
Losex 23.
Oh,
I
yeah.
gotta blame it. He's not on Radio Sim, but he's my boy. We play a lot.
Shouts out to Los. Until next time, it's your man, the czar, the president of Dissemination, reminding you, don't play video games, play basketball, and we out.
Come on, young boy. Come on, let's go. Shoot, fucking prison. Let's go.
Did you steal cookie from that cake again? You see this guy?
You better
Climbing
pop
up on the stove.
Poppy. You better pop him. He being bad.
Isaiah, come here. Isaiah, come here. Come here. Look at this. Did you take a bite of that cookie? Did you bite that? It's bad. What did he do? Go sit in your room. Go sit in your room. That's not funny.
Yo! You was a savage.
What? Somebody get the bag of...
No, it's not. I just
Guess nobody wants to take
You Zane took a bite of a cookie that and put it back in. He's gonna be a savage. Dad, you put white clean them chips up too, because you didn't do it.
Oh God, shut up with this.
Oh man, something to animation again.
You can only say that around the front. What? My name is Mark.
Go back to your room.
Hey, Mark, and I'm doing it, dark. Dark.
Oh, I say no. Get off from me.
Yeah?
Dang, Daniel.
What's going on, yo?
Isaiah, I'm kind of mad at you right now.
Man, at you.
Yeah, you been bit.
No, you sit down.
We're going to dark upstairs. Back. Ooh, ooh.
You sit down, I said.
Yeah, sit down.
Are you listening?
Thank you. Damn. Let's go, Aaron.
Oh my God, Isaiah, be quiet.
It's good.
Ah, damn, man. You gonna be hard.
Name one person that makes better cake than me.
Darnell, you want cake yet?
No.
Jay! Jaden! Jaden! You want cake? What?
What?
Yeah, that's you.
Where's Jason?
Why would you leave him?
Huh?
Why would you leave him?
What do you mean yours? That's not your whole cake. No.
What?
Good team ever between us. Oh, you did this?
You gotta get you want to get it tomorrow.
Why?
75%.
Well, please, it's 50.
No. I followed the instructions.
Really? Because you were going to add a cup and a third.
Come on, Dennis.
What do you know? You do not need more. Back up, Bob. Use your fork.
Use your fork, Slob. Correct.
Thank you.
No, I did it. I made it. Alright.
Mark, stop. 4.
Yummy, Marky?
Isaiah, no more. Use your fork or don't eat.
Look, I go in the room, right? Brody and TV. Dad, try to have a full table, right? Listen to some gangsta music.
I'm not listening to you.
Yes, she does.
Oh my God.
What's up?
I wish you would.
Food is ready to go.
Isaiah, 4.
There was some girl in distance. There's a video. She's at Marisha, and she got in this boy's face. And she started yelling at him. And she pushed him, and he fell. He got up and cracked it. I was like, dang. Yeah.
It would depend on the push.
That's a little, whatever, like that rapper that you listen to.
You never hit a girl.
crazy, no fun. They put an AK in there.
Like a real winner. By winner, I mean loser. Give me the plate, you're done.
Oh, yeah.
You're done, give me your plate. Isaiah! Stop being a kid. Oh my gosh! You just don't quit! Yeah. Stop doing that! Go to your room. Throw yourself on the floor all you want. Jay, out the basement!
Is the cake good?
Tastes like cake. I'm gonna need to brush my teeth in your bed. Why do you use my bathroom? You have toothpaste. Bull. Excuse me? What the? Can't be serious. Burnell, you watching Walking Dead at 9?
Yeah.
Alright.
Wow.
If it's not, I'll watch it by myself. That's why.
You need to go to bed. You ain't taking a nap.
I went out there with the cake. Got a cookie bit in half and stuffed back in the cake. And he's like this.
Shut up.
Huh? Oh, please, you just smile. Isaiah, get down. Did you let him up there, Zay? Yeah.
Yo, Zai, what are you doing, man?
Pee-pee. No more pee-pee, Uncle. No more pee-pee.
Yo, you getting reckless, dude. You getting reckless.
No more pee-pee.
Alright.
No more pee-pee.
Hold on, lay down. Bedtime.
Okay.
No, hold on. Get up here. Right here. Bed. Okay?
Mother?
Where you go? Where you go? Guess what? Did you eat some already? Wait till she come up.
I hit that corner 3, that's it. M1. Fuck out of there, CP3. Still. Go. Sorry, that was a bad shot. You hit that. Let's go. That's all. Let's go. Let's go, Shump. Ah.
Your cake is on the stove. You heard?
Yeah, yeah.
Go get smart.
Ah, come on. Can't do nothing with him. Brad. Damn, get the fucking rebound. What are y'all reaching for? Shot, man. Iron Lady Dirt. Let's go, boy. Get that shit out of here. How can't he catch that? Come on. Go, Bismack. Ah, no, lay up. Get back, stay well. Switch. Give me that. Oh! Goes Dennis. Oh, you gotta get up on him. Let's go, man. He's working. Ah, good pull up. Ah! That's the game. Sir. He ain't get it. Oh, they gave it to him? Through that. Let's go, man. I have to get it on the defensive end. Oh, come on. He could pass. Let's go, man. Fucking beast. Come on. Let's go. We out. Ah. Damn. Son has got 20. Easy work. The fouls, come on. Oh, Dennis. Damn, it's like you got warped out, shot out of a fucking cannon. Don't do that, 2K. Same way I shot the last two ones. Good tape, good tape, good tape, good tape. Man. Fuck out of here. Come on, man. Oh, who? Let's go, Dirt. Oh, fuck. I forgot he got that nut ass huzzy. Wow. Come back, Dirt. And one. Let's go, Dirt. Try to pick Gordon at the 3. That's all. Oh, come on. Dunked on, man. Fucking playing. Can't shoot that, man. Lucky. God. And one. Let's go. Get in there. Motherfuckers. He dribbling through people and shit. What the fuck? He ain't bothering Dirk shot. Oh my God, how? Come on, Bismack! God damn! Fucking layup. Rebounds, rebounds, rebounds. Yo, man, all these fucking rebounds. God damn. Nope. Now let me throw that same pass, which I did in this game, and they gonna bobble it. Damn. Ugly. Oh. Right there. You don't jump. Young boy put on. Six 3 points, too many for him. I ain't using any work. That's what it is. Just 2 more minutes, baby. Got some.